In just one 2.5-hour session, you can plan a month's worth of podcast episodes. In this video, I'm going to screen share my exact process with you and using a tool called the episode script outline that you can actually download for yourself by joining my free community. And I want you to drastically save time. I know that you're a business owner, you're busy, you don't have time for creating content at random hours. I want you to be able to focus on what you love doing the most, like 90% of the time, and doing content maybe 10% of the time. It's what I teach, it's what I do, and I would love to just show you my process in this video. Oh, and before we get into it, this does not diminish any quality of content. It will, however, bring your episodes to be about 20 minutes. So just so you are aware, this is for long form content, but also long form that is somewhat 20 minutes. So I guess not the most long form you could possibly do. If you are okay with creating videos that are 15 minutes long every single week and you are maintaining this on a very consistent level, but it does not take up all of your time, this video is for you. So without further ado, let's get into my episode script outline that you can download for yourself. Again, join my free community. It's called Essence Essentials. I help content creators and podcast producers streamline content creation so that it doesn't take up all of their time. I have toolkits in there, free resources, monthly content drops. I would love for you to join us. All right, guys, so we are in my school community about page. Basically, when you click the button below this video, you are going to be forwarded to this page. So once you click on join group, you'll just answer a couple questions and then you will then have access to my whole free resource vault. So once you're in the group, once I approve you, you'll go over to the classroom and click on the free resource vault here. Once you're in the free resource vault, you're going to notice so many free resources. Feel free to take heed to all of them. They can absolutely help you with either podcasting or content creation. If you produce your own podcast, these are literally made for you. So I encourage you to download whatever you believe would be the most helpful for you. So we are going to actually go over to creation, right? Because we are in the planning phase of our podcast episode. So this is all about content creation. Now you'll see the episode script outline here as a spreadsheet, and you'll also see as a doc. In this video in particular, I'm going to go over the spreadsheet because this is exactly how you get a month's worth of content in one afternoon, in one 2.5-hour session, okay? So we are actually just going to click on this little resource. It'll ask you if you want to make a copy, and we are going to say yes. All right, so we are in the Google spreadsheet that I have created. I've templated out for you. First, we're just going to do a quick run through of exactly how this works. Now, this is essentially rooted in a content strategy that I've definitely talked about on this channel, probably in more depth than I will go in this video. But just so you know, I basically use a system that encapsulates 4 to 5 content pieces per month that are all within a problem and solution storyline. So if you are a business owner and you solve the problem of helping people market themselves, right? Maybe you help people market themselves online and you work with personal brands only. So your solution, it's always going to be the same thing no matter what your problem is, right? You're basically storytelling through a problem that you are going to eventually lead your audience to your solution with. So your solution would essentially be online marketing services. Now, I'm just typing that in as a general kind of placeholder if this was your example, but I would ideally probably make this something more specific to what you offer. So if you offer a very specific solution like a course that helps people get online and build their first online offer, for instance, I would write that in here. So there's a whole process with figuring out the problems that are associated with the solution that you offer. And believe me, there are many, many, many different problems that are associated with your one solution, even if you think that you only have a few problems associated with the solution. You can get so granular with this, and it actually is better to get granular, even get into some lifestyle. Let's use this as an example. Your solution is online marketing services. Your problem might be, okay, the very first thing that comes to mind is no online marketing knowledge, right? Or like no online knowledge. That would be one of the more obvious things. But if you have the problem of no online knowledge in terms of like how to market yourself, you also may have the problem of understanding where you actually want to be in terms of what you offer in the online space. So maybe you want to create a course. Maybe you don't know how to create a course, right? So maybe your solution in the online marketing services is something more specific as to like, I'll teach you how to create an online course offer, right? The problems associated with not having an online course are endless because you can think about it in lifestyle terms, you can think about it in business terms, you can think about it in community terms. Your community is maybe local and you don't know how to bring them online. That's a whole set of problems associated with that solution. And you can get granular with this, okay? So just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to use the example of no knowledge of online space, right? So maybe the online marketing services is going to teach you the knowledge that you need to know, right? Like this offer that you lead everyone to, it really should be a solution for one thing, 1 to 3 things I say at most. But as long as the solution is directly related to the problem and solving the problem that you want to speak about through this month's worth of content, you're golden. Okay, so you'll also notice in this spreadsheet that there are 5 pillars, and each of these pillars actually represent one content piece. Also, you'll notice that each of these 5 content pieces are associated with a specific stage. And I've totally talked about this again on the channel, so if you are interested in learning more about the strategy, there are definitely some videos on my channel that talk about strategy more in depth. But we are basically utilizing the problem and awareness stage as the first 2 videos in this storyline because you want to reach people where they're at, no matter what storyline you're telling, and also no matter where somebody's at that could benefit from your solution. So that is why we speak to the specific buyer stages throughout the month. So the problem awareness stage is definitely going to cater to folks who may not really be aware of their problem, but you're going to make them aware through educational things that you know that they're searching for just as they're becoming aware of the problem that they have. So that is the content for that. It is probably going to be your more broad topics and titles. And then we get into consideration, which is much more about your authority, your experience, your achievements, even your mistakes that make you relatable to your audience. So this is really where you get to shine a light on you and talk about why you are probably the best solution for them, given that they're aware now of the problem. And now it is for you to then express why you are a unique solution for them, why they might relate to certain things that you've been through, and how exactly you can help them through those things. Lastly, the conversion stage content is really where you get to pitch your offer, but hyper-focusing on the life improvement after the fact of having your offer, right? So you're really wanting to speak to your people in this video in particular in a way that allows them to really see the result, like really see the result, whether this is like a client case study, a transformation that you helped somebody get through. Maybe it's your client, maybe it's yourself. What is the changed for the better life that this person or you now has after utilizing and implementing your solution? So now that you have kind of the lay of the land of how this all really works, we are going to just dive into how I would go about creating this if you just download it and you want to take 2.5 hours to get a month's worth of content planned. So a little trick here that I want to teach you is that you should always start, as in like start planning, and also when you start creating, create these videos in reverse of the way that you would want them to watch it. The reason that we do this is so that when you've created your conversion stage content first and you publish it first, all of the other content within this 5-piece storyline is always going to lead to that one, or it's going to lead to the one that you created last week. And it's just easier that way so that in your next video call to action that I have in here, you can then lead people to this one because it's already published. And then in this one, you can always lead people to your conversion stage video. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know in the comments if it doesn't, and I can clarify. But also, if you download this episode script outline, you will pretty much understand how this all works because I give you placeholder directions for each cell within the outline of each piece of content. Okay, so we are going to start with the conversion stage content. So I'm just gonna like zoom in over here. So if I am solving the problem of no knowledge of online space, and then the solution that I'm leading people to is the online marketing services, this piece of content would be highly involved in the online marketing services, right? So this would be the place where you talk about the online marketing services, you talk about the transformation. The very first things that you want to come up with are the title. And if you have a thumbnail in mind, like a thumbnail concept, just write in some notes here. It doesn't have to be the actual text that you're going to include. It can be, but it doesn't have to be like the final thing. And this is also a working title. So if we are talking about the transformation that exists after the fact of online marketing services, I'm probably going to want this piece of content to be somewhat of a case study of myself, right? So I'm going to say how I transformed my business with an online offer. And the way that I would make this probably more specific is by defining what kind of business, right? How I transformed my consulting business with an online offer. Now, I would recommend that you get even more specific with this. This is a little bit broad, although we are targeting consulting business and we're talking about online offers. I would maybe rework it a little bit just to make it a bit more punchy, a bit more engaging, and really speaking to your own unique way of speaking through this. Thumbnail concept notes, I would probably say something a bit more like urgent in the thumbnail. So like maybe results, like the actual results you've gotten. So like how I transformed my consulting business with an online offer. The thumbnail concept could be number of sales in number of days, right? Those kinds of thumbnails really, really perform well because you're showing people the actual results of what you're talking about in your title. So that is a really great way to implement some of that urgency, some of that kind of like alarming, important, wowing factor into your content. So now we are on to goal of content section. So this is basically the detailed version of the title, aka the transformation. So the title is already really actually tied in with a transformation. So it's how I transformed my consulting business with an online offer. So instead of leaving it like I transformed my consulting business in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do that, right? Because essentially your goal of content is also going to be translated here with just the beginning words of by the end of this, you'll learn blank. Knowing that, and knowing that we want to get a little bit more specific, a detailed version of the title, the goal of the content is to teach people the solution to how I got, and then basically just copying that thumbnail, number of sales in number of days. Teach people the solution of how I got the number of sales in number of days. Instead of saying the solution, teach people the method to how I got number of sales in number of days with my online offer. So ideally, right, you're not going to keep in like number of sales, number of days. I'm just leaving that in for you as like a placeholder to then implement that if you had a result to share like that. So essentially, we just made the goal of content, and we know that this goal of content is going to definitely coincide with this area, right? So we can essentially just copy and paste what this is and say, by the end of this, you'll learn how this method got me number of sales, number of days with my online offer. So that is already done for you. Do you see how fast this is taking us? I'm recording at like 16 minutes right now, but I'm also teaching you exactly how this works. So once you know how all of this is really laid out, you're probably about, let's say, 7 minutes into this process already, and we are in a good place on just one content piece, okay? So right now we have the goal of content done. So now it's about the hook. Now the hook, I write in here the boldest aspect of your topic through storytelling. Why does this matter? So your hook is really the first thing that people hear and see when they click on your video, right? It could be you coming into the screen. It could be anything that is engaging, but most of the time it's probably going to be a phrase or a bold statement, a question, even a mini storytelling session to really give people an idea of why this matters and why they should stick around to watch. So if we already have this goal of content, by the end, you'll learn how this method got me number of sales and number of days with my online offer. This, I would probably, just knowing what we're going to say next, I would probably have the hook be something along the lines of, my business's online offer now allows me to X, right? So this is a really great way to, again, we're trying to stick with the stage. You're really thinking about, okay, how do I express what I now have after the fact, right? So my business's online offer now allows me to X. That is a bold statement. That is a thing that you can really hit somebody at home in terms of if they relate to, wow, now they are able to do this. That's what I want to do. So really step into your audience's shoes. Think about what you now can do based on what has transformed that your audience would resonate with. This is the best kind of statement to have as your hook, because they will be hooked if they relate, right? So we've got our hook, we've got the goal of content. Now it is all about your introduction. So this is actually optional, right? So you don't technically have to introduce yourself, but you can if you want. This is more, I would say, like the classic podcast kind of format. So it's like, welcome back to my channel where I/we blank, right? So it's just expressing like the mission of what you do. My name is blank. My name is Liz. And you have probably heard me, if you've been on this channel before, say, and I'm a 6-year photographer turned content strategist and producer that is now full-time in her business producing podcasts for my clients. Like that was mine previously. And so that is where you can kind of hyper focus on your authority here. It doesn't exactly have to be like a specific stat or like X amount of years in a specific industry. It really doesn't have to be that. You can actually just say, my name is blank and I tell it like it is or something. Like it doesn't have to be this authority-driven thing. Just really emphasize your unique area of the industry in this statement here. What you bring to the table, right? That is what you should focus on here. So once you make your introduction once, you can just copy and paste it for all of the rest of the videos that you're going to be doing, right? Because it's just the same thing. So yeah, after this, we are going to get into now the mini offer call to action. So once you've done your introduction, I'm personally not going to do this right now just because I've already created my own introduction. And right now I'm actually not doing an introduction in my videos. So it's helpful to sometimes acknowledge that you can skip the introduction piece and we can just move right along to the mini offer call to action, which should be about 10 to 15 seconds of you speaking, okay? So this is how the video goes right now. My business's online offer now allows me to do X, Y, and Z. By the end of this video, you'll learn how this method got me X amount of sales in X amount of days with my online offer. And then there is some form of a transition, or there's not a form of a transition for you having an introduction versus not. So you could say, okay, welcome back to the channel where we blank. My name is Liz and I am blank, right? That is where we are now. So what naturally comes after this is really you speaking about something that they could then gain value from immediately. This ideally performs the best when it's not something paid. Rather, it is something that could benefit them directly from watching this video, right? So the perfect thing for this would be a lead magnet, something like a free resource that allows them to follow along with you in this, or to just let people know what you do for business, right? At the end of the day, the introduction and the mini offer call to action are actually optional. They both are optional. You technically can just go right into the key points from saying, by the end of this video, you'll learn X, so let's just get into it, right? It's really based on your personal kind of idea for your show. If you have a show, right, like it is called something else, it's not called something associated with just your name, you're not just doing a YouTube channel, rather you have a themed show, I personally think that it's best to have the introduction and a mini call to action, but the mini call to action could be anything along the lines of, hey, if you learned something from last week, comment below. But it's really just a way to get your audience to interact with you, to acknowledge that you can offer more value, and to also let people know what you do. This is just a perfect opportunity to let people know those things if you desire, and have it be short and sweet, right to the point. And as you can see here, if you're looking for blank, check out the resource below. So like if you're looking for more on this topic, like I basically made a document of exactly how I transform my consulting business with my online offer. I have a little workbook for you that will allow you to walk through exactly how I did this and exactly how you can do the same. that is linked below for you. That would be like the perfect mini call to action to have in this video. Okay, so we're on to key points, the value, right? So the value to me is obviously your key points in what you want to be talking through in this video. So for instance, how I transform my consulting business with an online offer, and your goal is to teach people the method to how you got number of sales and number of days with your online offer, right? So the value, the first piece would probably be like backstory, where I was, right? And just giving people a little bit of insight, like paint the picture of where you were at. The next key point could probably be like the first thing I did. The first thing I did, which was optimized my messaging, right? That would be an example of one thing that you could deep dive into. And a lot of what I teach my clients in my program for producing your own podcast is all about like, instead of writing out a script, I personally believe that I became a better speaker, a better YouTuber when I started just having bullet key points, and deep diving in my own way personally, right? Like this is me coming to you in all of my personality. I'm not reading from a script right now, and I like it better that way because it comes off more authentic. There could be mess ups in what I'm saying, but that is human. And I believe that a lot of people resonate more when people are human and when people mess up, and it is perfectly normal for that. And it actually makes people feel closer to you. So what I actually recommend is that you just keep it short and sweet here so that you know when you're recording, you're going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm just going to do that myself, how I normally would if I was speaking to a friend, right? So after this person optimized their messaging, they started to provide value on platforms where audience was already active. Provided, right? So that would probably be, and I'm just making this up as I go, right? So that would probably be the next thing here. And maybe the last key point, and again, I leave a placeholder for 5 key points, but I personally believe that 3 key points are best because it's not too overbearing. It's not too much for your audience to understand, and it's digestible. Anything over 5 key points, especially if you're deep diving on something, can get overwhelming and kind of disorganized and chaotic. So I do recommend like 3 key points, 4 key points, because we kind of utilized this first key point as a backstory. I want to have maybe 1 more key point. So let's make this one really good, right? And maybe as you're speaking in like the first area over here, like your first key point, you can say something like, hey, the last key point that I talk about in this video is critical, right? I wouldn't be where I am today without that last key point. So I really encourage you to stick to the end. We will deep dive into it so that you can walk away from this video with everything you need to do the same. Like something like that could help so that you can have one of the most valuable key points at the end, and it will also encourage retention, right? This is just a little strategy tip from a strategist over here if you want some higher retention on your videos. Okay, so the last key point, I'm going to just placeholder and say that it's going to be like taking action on what matters and leaving the rest. I'm basically riffing on this right now, but I think that transforming a consultation business through an online offer, it's probably the critical thing is probably how that person took action and what they left to not continue to put effort into so that they could focus and really obsess over one thing that was working for them. So I'm just using that as a little placeholder. And it's like taking action on what matters and leaving the rest. You could go deeper into this and say, I took action on these 3 things, right? Just because you have 5 key points doesn't mean that the subtopics should be just one thing, right? Like you can go deeper to give people more value, but just making sure that the major overview, overarching key point is prevalent. I personally love putting on the screen a static image of the major key point, because then it helps people understand like, oh, she's going into 3 more things underneath this key point. And that can be helpful for some people to acknowledge as they're watching your videos. Okay, so we're getting to the end of the video, end of the script. And the last thing here is your offer call to action, 1 to 3 minutes. And this is showcasing exactly how your offer could help them solve their problem. So essentially, this is where you are going to be pitching what you offer as a solution. You just did a whole video on how you transformed your own business through this method. So now what you should offer at the end of this video is your method to give them the same solution. So you're really going to be speaking to consultants, and you're also going to be speaking to consultants who want an online offer and want to be able to market it and change their lives with it, right? Like have number of sales, a number of days, and have that exact transformation that you expressed in your hook. My business's online offer now allows me to X, whether that's I get to go to a coffee shop midday every single Thursday and treat myself, and then go to the library and read books and go to Pilates classes, go to yoga classes whenever I please because my online offer is working for me. Like those are the things that you're going to want to basically emphasize again, but really expressing to your viewer that like, hey, if you want the solution, it is there for you. And then giving people maybe like a first step, whether it's getting on your email list through downloading a resource that can help them even further beyond the video, or jumping on like a 15-minute discovery call with you to see if you're a good fit to work together. That would also be a great thing to offer in your offer call to action. So it would basically, you just highlight this and say discovery call, if that was your choice for what you wanted to offer there. Now, this is exactly how you script out your video. We are at 33 minutes on the clock, but I did spend probably about 10 minutes talking to you about how all of this works up here. And also I expressed how it was all working within this whole process. So we're basically at like 20 minutes, give or take, on this full episode, which is exactly how long we have to create each of these, is 30 minutes to get you to 2.5 hours. So you essentially could spend 2.5 hours, even less, to just fill in these cells for yourself and for whatever content you are telling, whatever the storyline is that you're telling over the course of the month. Align it with the consideration stage, with the problem aware stage. Make sure all of it makes sense. Make sure your key points are sharp, to the point, and that you can speak on them, deep dive on them with no script. It's just yourself. You're speaking authentically. It is going to be great practice for you to do that at the beginning versus scripting out everything in the beginning and then feeling like a lost puppy when you want to come off more authentic to people. I think this is the best way to do this. And I wanted to show you very quickly, just because there's some changes down here that happen with the other videos that are different than the conversion stage. And really the only difference is that your offer call to action is going to be a little bit less than this one, essentially because this is your pitch video, right? Like this is the video that you essentially pitch people, and every other video in this storyline is going to lead to this video eventually, right? Because you're basically going to say number 3 video at the end, you're going to lead people to number 4 video, and then number 4 video leads to number 5. So essentially, if everyone just followed that same path, they would get to this pitch video, which is your goal. That's what you want people to follow. So your offer call to action in episode 4 is just going to be a little bit shorter, and it can still be your offer, right? It can still be the same thing that you're talking about here if you want it to, or it can be a free resource. Like this really, it doesn't always have to speak to your main offer that is paid. A lot of the times you can just have an offer call to action that is really just a free resource, and you will get email subscribers from that. Email subscribers will then allow you to gain more people into your little corner of the internet, and through email is also where you can sell your offers. So it is not a lost cause just because you are offering something for free and you're a business. I understand that you're a business and you have to make money. So this can really be anything. At the end of the day, it is best for this to be maybe something more personalized, whether it's free or paid, but it is your most engaged audience at the end of your videos. And that is why you want to offer them something that could be more value for them. So the thing that we did not cover in this conversion stage piece of content, because it is the last video in this storyline, is the next video call to action. So what we do here is after we say, hey, there is more personalized support if you need it, the value is here. If you want to learn how to do the same thing, I want to show you my free lead magnet in the description below, or I want to let you know that I have a one-to-one consulting offer that is available right now. You can get on a 15-minute discovery call with me. Like, you can do the same thing you did in this video here. And then after that, you can say, if you want to learn more specifically about my method and how I got this amount of sales in this amount of days, be sure to check out my video. And that is where you link your video on the end card screen on YouTube. So you basically link out to this video that's already published on the end card as you are tying in their transformation from this content piece, benefiting from the content piece in number 5, which is right here. So I hope all of this makes sense. I hope this helped you out a lot. Please let me know in the comments if this little screen share walkthrough helped you out. And again, if you want to download this for yourself or download that document, just head on over to that link in the description, get into my school group, and you'll have full access to this entire free resource vault that I have built up over my 7+ years now in marketing, content marketing, social media management, and content production. So if that is something that you feel like you would benefit from, please feel free to do that. I would love to have you in the community. I would love to have you on the monthly consultation calls that I offer for free to all free members there too. Also, if you are interested in learning more about that kind of foundational content strategy, you want to know the step-by-step process of exactly how to do this in 30 minutes and understanding that content strategy in kind of a deeper format, I really encourage you to check out the video that is on the screen here. It is called Outline Your Script in 30 Minutes Using My Proven Script. That video is there for you as well if you want to go deeper. So thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.